Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, man, my day just gets better every time I see you. And that's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. And I do mean that. Thank you so much for coming back to this video. And if you're brand new to the channel, welcome in. We've got a lot to talk about and I want to try to get you guys prepped and ready to step into Brimstone Sands. Now guys, this week is going to end up being pretty substantial. We're going to get some real rock solid dates and information about the game, about when these updates are dropping. But still, there's things that you can start doing right now. What we learn this week won't change anything that you get in this video, any of this information. And again, it's not my job to waste your time. In fact, I want to hopefully help save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. And so let's go ahead and dive in. Now, first things first, when it comes down to markets, like money's king, money's power in this regards. And so I actually want to every little tip in here is going to be kind of focusing around the concept of how to make money. This isn't a how to make money guide. We've got those here on the channel and I'm going to keep making those as well. But I want to focus in on how you fill up as many bars at the same time as absolutely possible so that you can capitalize on someone else's, speed, or you can just capitalize on uncertainty in market fluctuations. Now, you can go out to the PTR and you can see kind of what is buying and selling, and you try to use that information to get a good education guess on this. But if you are coming back or if you are starting, chances are there's going to be things that you're just not going to know about how this economy essentially functions and runs. So note that this is going to be kind of a multi-parter in terms of this. So I do believe that the best thing you can do for yourself is try and get as much coin as possible. That doesn't mean to just not spend money, because there might be opportunities that you find where you can spend money and make a lot of more money. It's just, obviously you have the concept of buy low, sell high at play. Now, this is going to be coupled with your trade skills. And in terms of priority, your gathering is number 1. Your refining is number 2. And then your crafting is number 3. Now, if you're having fun, it's not my goal to steal your fun. Have fun. If you just want to craft. But what I'm going to say is that and my focus is on trying to make sure that I have all of my gathering skills to 200, all my refining skills at least in 100 or above, which I've already achieved. So I'm going to keep pushing those ever higher based off of my gathering, and we're just going to keep going from there. You can see here I just got logging to 200. I still have yet mining and harvesting to go. I'm focusing on mining first and foremost and getting it to 150, and that's essentially where I would point you into each of the categories. You can see here at 175 I'll be able to farm orichalcum. This is going to be important for me. I can farm everything else up to that point, and so this is going to be my next goal, at least to 175 for that. In terms of harvesting, you can see here I cannot get wire fiber. That is also 175. So you have various different tiers. So if you're brand new, the goal isn't for you to rush to 200 and burn yourself out. So please don't misunderstand me. The goal is to try and set reasonable different things that you can achieve. So if you're brand new, before Brimstone, I would challenge you to see if you can get to level 50 on trees. That will open you up to more things that you can harvest out in Brimstone Sands as a zone, or just in the game overall. As more and more people move into that, there's going to be a need for lots of resources, and you can either buy those resources up now, but if you don't have enough coin to do so, you can farm them up for yourself and have a great opportunity for profit. So take a look at where you are and look at what it's going to take for you to get to the next tier. Obviously, mining has a lot of different nodes to it, so if you are already at 20, well, maybe you get to 45 or maybe you get to 50, so you can end up having more opportunities to be able to provide resources, especially when they're in demand. Here's the beautiful thing. You're going to be farming up materials anyway. You can use those materials to jump into your refining aspect, so you're leveling up multiple bars. That's what I mean by that concept. Or beyond that, you could actually then have those materials to sell if they're fetching a decent price today, or you can sell them as soon as the patch goes live. Because here is the secret sauce in MMOs. As patches ebb and flow, so do prices. As people get excited for games in return, prices tend to go up because you have more need, more demand, and so then the supply ends up shrinking a little bit. As the servers have gotten bigger, supply has ended up shrinking a little bit. But as that grows and the population spreads out, or maybe they start taking breaks down the road, that's usually the better time to buy. But it's kind of hard to pinpoint that on each individual scale, so just kind of take note. That ends up being one aspect. Okay, so again, we're talking about filling up bars. Look at your territory standing. Don't ignore this. And the reason why you wouldn't want to ignore this is that by doing things that are going to increase your overall territory, this could be crafting, as an aspect, you can actually unlock perks, both increased storage space and more, so that in terms of just like being able to profit going into the game, into your market, as I run into this guy and get stuck, going over to your bank and being able to make sure that you're capitalizing on your different locations. Now, for new players, again, in terms of like outside of that, going into your journal, focusing on anything that would be kind of a main story quest, this is going to just help you out the overall. Now, do you need to get to 60 before the update drops? No, I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you. But if you're close, if you're 55, get to 60. If you're 50, get to 60. Look at the different, goals and see exactly what is reasonable for you. So that way, A, you don't stress yourself out, but B, that you're not sitting here like feeling any kind of pressure to rush, because don't rush. Like, one of the beautiful things about this game is it actually took me 4 months to get to level 60. I don't regret that. That's because I was doing so many side items. That was because I was doing gathering. That's because I was doing all these different things that it ended up being just such an enjoyable experience that I've had overall. So just kind of pay attention to that. If you're ever curious about how you understand what a main story is, maybe you don't have anything in here and you're like, Brian, what is MSQ? Take a look at the symbol. The symbol is going to dictate on the map itself what actually is a main story quest. And for me, that is right now up here in the Tempest. So you can always look at your map and you can look at the different symbols for the quests to see exactly what is needed. You can also then see I have other quests that are having a different symbol, a little bit heavier in terms of that crown or that fire. That's going to give you kind of a prioritization of your quests therefore and therein. Now, we talked about gathering, we talked about refining, and we kind of in a way talked about buying the dip. One of the things I would like to point to, if you guys have not seen my gold making videos, pay attention to the town board. You can see here I've got Fisher Folk for large salmon, weak health potions. If I wanted to hunt sheep, I could do so. Same thing for rabbits. In fact, actually, I'm going to go ahead and grab the sheep and the rabbits because they're up. Always be grabbing your town board quests. This is going to change slightly within the PTR and the update that rolls out in October, but note that some of these things that are just naturally going to be able to be found and gathered, do so, because while you're out gathering, while you're out questing, you're going to find and come across it. In terms of items like the fish or the travel rations, what this actually ends up doing is, if you pull up your inventory, is it will actually mark certain items to be turned in. You can see here, this is an item that needs to be turned in. So does this. This is going to act as your shopping list in terms of whether, not to purchase those, but to provide those, because there's always going to have some kind of demand as people to try and take advantage and use those. And this is a really good way in terms of how you can manage the markets themselves regarding buying the dip and more. So if we just kind of pull up the market itself, if I just go into my sell tab, I can go ahead and I usually sort off of number owned. I like to look at see what's got a lot of sell orders. Does not mean I have to take 16 cents for the sell order. I can always hit place order and see exactly what it is. But in this case, it is selling for as much as somebody is willing to pay for it. And that is essentially either a sign that it's not necessarily that high in demand, but if you want to go ahead and take this money, you're going to be capitalizing on exactly what people are willing to sell for it. You can kind of scroll around and see exactly what's happening. And ultimately, you can start to find fluctuations in prices. And this is essentially what I want to point you to as a way of making money. You can see here, I said that I worked on my logging, got that up to 200. Well, that ended up fueling me with a lot of materials in which that I was able to create a lot of different lumber. Well, I've seen lumber continue to rise up in price. Now, if I go to place a sell order, I can see lumber is going right now for $169, or I can sell it immediately for $122. I can take the risk and put it up there in hopes that somebody buys it at that price, or I can choose to go ahead and just buy it at this price. So I'm going to go ahead and take the money in this case and go ahead and capitalize on exactly what is going on. Now, that person was only buying one. This one is wanting to buy 1,800, and I can go ahead and do so. Now, I could sit on the materials until the update. Oh, it looks like insufficient items. Let's go and do that. And I could sit on the materials and the items themselves and hope that they continue to go up. But again, I don't need them to go up. I'm in a position where I continue to am able to fund myself pretty frequently, and I can use that money to buy legendaries, and especially when the legendary bags drop, on live, which we already know that they're coming in the PTR, there's going to be plenty of opportunity and things that you're going to want to be able to purchase. And that buying power is going to give you that flexibility. And it's also going to give you a nice shopping list of things that you can go ahead and sell. Now, again, like we talked about refining, just always be going in and just checking to see if there's anything that you can kind of get cleaned up, because I could sell those items for less, or I can always come in here and make the items for more. Now, when it comes to crafting, you'll end up seeing that the crafted items that you end up maybe making do not sell for as much as the materials themselves. So you have to kind of weigh in right now. Is now the right time to craft these items up? There are plenty of opportunities to be able to make money while crafting. And so don't try to sleep on it too much. But as people are prepping, as people are getting excited, if they're sitting here and trying to also grind up their crafts, you're going to be competing against that as well. When you could be supplying them with money, letting them basically buy XP from you, and then later when prices fall, be able to buy that up and craft things up much faster. So be paying attention to where that's going currently in the game. Now, at this point, if you're still watching this video, you feel like I earn it, that like button is a great way of helping it out in the algorithm. Subscribing and sharing these videos are a great way of helping this channel continue to grow. And thank you all so much for the growth that you have already given this channel over the last month. And then also at the same time, if you haven't heard of the podcast Epic Loot Radio, we film live on Wednesdays over on Ginger Prime. This week we actually have Force Gaming coming on to talk about MMOs into 2023. Lots of exciting stuff, especially with New World, Throne of Liberty, and so many moving parts and more are headed that way. So be sure to check that out if you guys haven't already. So now, while you're at it, earlier I kind of on the live stream today, I was talking a little bit about Gypsum. Gypsum is an important resource. You can get so by just playing the game. I have a focus guide on Gypsum itself and how you can focus this into Gypsum orbs. But Gypsum is also going to be kind of valuable if the PTR ends up proving out true on some of the changes that they've got. You're going to want to have Gypsum as a resource for like various different abilities and runes and so much more. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail. I think some other content creators probably have already covered it at greater length than I have or will in this case. But I want to point to you that Gypsum, either just to continue to farm it up or to be able to use it for later, or just if you need to push up your gear score to do so when it comes to your levels of expertise. I'm going to point you to the guide because I don't want to rehash it here for you. But that just means as you're crafting, as you're gathering, as you're just jumping around, working on kind of the faction and territory standings and more, as you're just doing this, be sure to make sure that you're taking advantage and grabbing some Gypsum along the way. If you ever need any orbs themselves, you can do so easily by going over to like your faction vendor. And this will also be important for you as you're playing, is that every day you're going to get 3 bonus quests of experience by running into your faction vendor. This is going to be a great way of farming up tokens, and those tokens are going to be a great way of buying orbs. Now, orbs have a natural cooldown to them. You can buy 2 orbs a day, and you can use those to have a focused thing. So by taking advantage of your faction missions, at least 3 a day, you're going to end up being able to get that. And these also reward you with territory standing, money, and more. So there's a lot of really good things to kind of take advantage of. Personally, I've actually focused in on the PvP missions because I feel like they actually give me more things to do in the long run. Like they give me more bonuses overall. And I usually like to focus in on zones that I'm trying to level up. And that ends up just kind of being how I'm prepping for Brimstone. I'm trying to make sure that I'm just chipping away in the zones that I like, that I'm trying to farm up as many resources as possible, that if the sell is too good today, that I'm going to take the cash. And if I don't need the money and I think the price is deflated, then I just go ahead and sit on the materials, make sure they're in my bank so that when those prices come up, I can profit. And I did this on many things. I actually sold feathers in this game for an absurd amount. And as more players come back to the game, as more players come in, they're going to be happily to hand you the money for the materials that you didn't need to sell today, and you could sell them tomorrow. And sometimes today, it's so much more beneficial for me to sell it right now and make sure that I've got wealth. My goal before Brimstone drops, if my timing of it is successful, is to have at least 75 to 100K in gold. So that way when the patch goes live and people start crafting out that sweet, those legendary bags, I can definitely get and take advantage of those upgrades myself. Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you found it useful. Hopefully you got something good out of it. You can always ask me in the comments if you have any additional questions, or hit us up on Discord. Links are on the description. Everything you need is actually in the description of this video, at least in the content that I make and more. So anyway, again, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video, but until then, take care.